Okay, we're back to day 2 of the gardening. Last night temperature dropped down to about 45 degrees. I think it may have affected this plant here, or possibly I didn't have enough water on the plant after I transplanted it, because it seems like the others seem to be doing very well. And the one against the fence also looks a little peaked, I guess you would call it. It's possible they're not getting enough morning sun. My neighbor's shed is in the way, so that kind of blocks a little sun. That might be a possibility. And also the fact that I planted these plants a little early today, this year. It's only April 20-something, and temperatures still haven't moderated. I probably should have waited, but I'm going to go ahead and plant again today. Do the same thing I did yesterday with mulching and adding my food sources, my organic materials. Again, you can see I trenched out a nice area there. I will be adding our ingredients again, our peat moss, our organic choice Miracle Grow, our manure, and I'm also going to add today and side dress with Miracle Grow's blood meal. I forgot to do that yesterday in the first row. I will not forget it today, and we'll see how that works. Now I've done my churning and mounding. I'm going to add my blood meal. I'm going to go with the directions pretty much. It says tablespoon per square foot. So I'm going to go do that now. Alright, it's down. I'm just going to work it into the soil. Perhaps you can see the slightly darker area there. That would be the bone meal. I suggest just raking it in about 1 to 3 inches deep. Spread it fairly easily, getting rid of some of the weeds as we go along. Now back up. Put some additional dirt up to the side with it. I'm not worried about rocks this year. Every year I sift this soil out, and every year it turns out I find more rocks. Okay, I've planted my celery. Of course, I stack these closer. There's no problem. Celery doesn't need a whole lot of room to grow. And with the enrichment I put into the soil, they should do very well. I also lined it on the very top with some peat moss that's helped keep the moisture in, and that should work. Earlier I had pointed out that 2 of my plants, the 2 in the back here, didn't look like they were doing well. Didn't know if it was water, sun, or possibly the cold from last night, but after I watered them, they perked right back up again. So obviously I didn't add enough water yesterday. You don't want to overwater them, but you don't want to underwater. In this last area, I think I'm going to plant my tomatoes anyway. I've had tomatoes here in the past. I try to rotate. I have a lot to clear out here. As you can see, there's grass. I have some flowering plants back there, which I keep in my garden. It helps to attract the helpful bugs like bees for cross-pollination of different plants and things. This time I'm going to pretty much butt the tomato plants up against the fence. I can use the fence to help train it and pick the fruit from either side of the fence, and it'll still give me space to walk here and on the other side, as I said. Now here I said I was going to put my tomatoes, and I made a wider trench. The tomato roots tend to spread out a bit. That leaves me space for planting in between my celery and my tomatoes, although the tomatoes will bush out quite a bit. Hoping to contain that by the fence and some staking and keep them uptight, pruning them, keep them narrow. Here is my mix. I use 2 parts of the potting soil, the organic choice. I used half a bag of the manure and about 4 parts of peat moss, all mixed together, and that is going to be my bed here. Just prior to laying that down now, I put in some of the blood meal, the correct ratio, which is 1 teaspoon per 1 square foot. I have an area roughly 8 feet by 2 feet, so I put in 16 tablespoons. I believe it's tablespoons. So now I saved some of the dirt you see in the wheelbarrow, so when I plant my tomatoes I can wrap that around those also, like I did on my other plants. Okay, now I have my tomatoes in. I had 6 plants, so I planted 3 because they get pretty bushy. I covered up my good soil with the surrounding soil to keep everything from washing out. We'll see how these work out later on in the future. There's certainly enough food in the ground for the plants to thrive, so we'll see how they take off.